Welcome to Rockingham, where the weather is very changeable for rounds 17, 18 and 19 of the Toyo Tyres Porsche Championship. Championship leader is starting in second position on race 1, but it's his championship title rival, Adam Southgate, who's in pole position. For the first race, it's over to Jake Sanson to take you through the rest of the grid.
Thanks, Lloyd. 6 races to go in the 2017 season. Here's the grid for the first race. Southgate and Hayes on the front row. Richard Avery and Kevin Molyneux on the second row. Goodwin and Porter with Alex Stocker and Philip Churchill chasing them down. Nick Hull and Coleman failed to set qualifying times. Johnson and Hammond on the front row, but Hammond will not start. An engine failure in qualifying. Lowry, Rossin, Smith, Printy, Pert, Waters, Callender, Valentine and Pritchard chase them down, with Baker and Harris in the production boxers. Red lights are on. We're going to get a new winner in 924s, whatever happens, and it's going to be an epic battle in the Boxsters. Away we go. Great start from Rossin in the 924s, who pulls ahead of Johnson and our onboard man, Ryan Lowry. Away we go. That's a cracking start from Avery. Avery leads the way in the Boxsters. Ed Hayes trying to draw alongside Adam Southgate. Side by side. Still side by side. We're on board with Kevin Molyneux. Down to the second corner at Dean. Into the hairpin. Hayes goes out wide. Molyneux's going to try and get the acceleration off the hairpin. Will he beat Hayes to the corner at Yentwood? Avery leads the way. Southgate, third position. That is Hayes slotting in. Coleman's up to 5th position. What a start from James Coleman. Meanwhile, it is Rossin in the lead of the 924s from Lowry, Gavin Johnson and Peter Smith. On board with Bernie Printy, trying to make up progress. In there, in front of him is one of the production Boxsters. 2 cars in the production class once again. Baker versus Harris, that battle will continue. There's Ed Hayes, slotting in behind Southgate, Molyneux and James Coleman looking very aggressive as he tries to make his way up into 4th position. On board with Hayes, there is Coleman, making his move on Molyneux into Gracelands. So James Coleman having an absolute flyer on this first lap, and he needs a good result. He's had a frustrating year of on and off scheduled racing so far this year. But Coleman looks strong. Hull is now making his bid to come through, so Nick Hull may have an opportunity to move up past Kevin Molyneux. 924s, it's Rossin, Lowry, Johnson, Smith and Waters in the top 5. So the battle continuing in the 924 class as they come onto the school straight. On board with Ryan Lowry, quick check behind him. He's got a bit of space back to Gavin Johnson in 3rd position. Every single driver in the 924 grid here today is bidding to become a first-time winner this season. Rick Styron won the first 2 at Alton Park. He hasn't raced since. Pip Hammond has won every race since then, but with an engine failure in qualifying, Pip Hammond does not take the start of this race. Hopefully he will be back for races 2 and 3 this weekend. But that's a big blow in terms of his championship campaign, and it's an open opportunity for these guys to win their first 94 race of the season. Here's Molyneux at Dean. On the inside is Nick Hull. Now Nick Hull is bouncing back after an issue in qualifying when his bonnet sprung up from the boot of the car and ended up smashing the windscreen. They've repaired it, as you can see, and he's back in the action, but up to 5th position he's gone. So Avery leads, 2nd is Southgate, 3rd is Ed Hayes, and if we look behind us, there's James Coleman. So it's a 4-way scrap for the victory. Brilliant stuff as they go into Kirby. On board with Ryan Lowry as he heads into Chapman. Whoa, careful Ryan. The back end starting to come around. The great thing though about the 924 is that it responds very much like a dirty great go-kart. All that power in the rear wheels, it gives you such a bite back as you come through. You can to a certain extent chuck the car in and catch it back like you would a Rotax kart. It's an amazing machine. I got the benefit of driving one of the PDC racing cars. I think it was Gavin Johnson's earlier in the year. Whoa, that was close. I tell you what, Richard Avery almost got a door full of James Coleman there, and that's enough for Southgate to slip up the inside, but Coleman is going to try and protect his position. He dives back up the inside of Yentwood and takes that 2nd place back, although he's still there to the left as Adam Southgate. He still wants a piece of this. Surely he can't go right round the outside of Chapman and take the place. He's going to. Southgate has gone round the outside of Chapman and gone into 2nd position. That is a man desperate to keep his championship hopes alive and take points off Ed Hayes. Adam Southgate, no hesitation at all, goes for the move round the outside of Chapman and gets 2nd position back again. This is turning into the race of the season as he now looks at Avery into Gracelands. He hoped there that Avery would overshoot. He hasn't done so. So now Adam Southgate's got to try something else, and quickly, because Coleman's coming at him. Coleman looks to the inside line, then dives back for the outside. Southgate is having to attack and defend simultaneously as Ed Hayes in fourth position, the 77, just watches it all unfold. Down the school straight, and again trying to look to the inside line. This is an opportunity for Southgate to try and get one over on Richard Avery. He now swings shots back to the inside line. He's going to get him in the final turn, and he's there. Southgate takes the lead. The Avis Consulting number 45. He's back in front in the Toyo Tyres Porsche Championship, and a win would be very forthcoming at this point. James Coleman has got the inside line for Richard Avery. Avery's going to slip down to third. He sweeps through and he's there. So James Coleman now into second position. He has come up from the back row of the grid, James Coleman, and now he is in second place. He is clear that he wants to make Rockingham his own. Oh, Southgate runs deep at Dean Hairpin, and that's going to give Coleman the lead. Coleman is through into the lead. James Coleman won his first ever Porsche race at Rockingham, and now he is going to do it again if things stay as they are, as Avery sweeps back across to stop Ed Hayes coming through. So Hayes in fourth position, now sat right tucked up behind Richard Avery as they go through Chapman into Piff Path, left, right, not so much curb used in the Boxsters as there is in the 924s, because these cars are a little bit more brittle at the limit, and you've got to be a little bit more respectful as you would be while chucking a 924 from corner to corner. Much more technical car these, and with the aerodynamics they are a very interesting beast to tame. Through Gracelands, down the short stretch to Tarzan. Southgate is dropping Avery and Hayes. So surely now this is a pair of twos, a pair of duos battling away for first and third. Hayes is through past Avery though. So Hayes has got into third position past Richard Avery. Oh, and into the pits comes Bernie Printy. That is game over, I'm afraid to say, for Bernie Printy, and he will be very disappointed with that. He's had a miserable season of peaks and troughs all the way through the year, as Southgate again has a look at James Coleman, trying to repeat the move he made on Richard Avery, but James Coleman is no slouch. He's not going to gift wrap a victory. Down the main straight once again, Southgate trying to get into the draft. You utilise the slipstream much more here at Rockingham than you do anywhere else. He's now pushing very hard to try and close up on our race leader, James Coleman. So Coleman breaks for Dean Hairpin. Southgate a little bit later, just trying to gain a little bit of ground. Coleman runs a tiny bit deep, but that's okay for the moment. But Southgate is right on him, with Ed Hayes in third position, now trying to close them down. That is Nick Hull in front of us. We're on board with Dolly Molly, Kevin Molyneux, number 4. Now, why am I calling him Dolly Molly? Well, I tell you what, his dance moves and his Dolly Parton impression, as we witnessed in hospitality last night, very much in presence. So if he decides that racing is no longer for him, he could get away with being a Dolly Parton tribute act any day of the week. And up the inside, Southgate's going for Coleman! They touch! And somehow they get away with it. But Ed Hayes is now seeking the opportunity. Up the inside, here I go. Into second position goes Ed Hayes. So Southgate commits to the move on Coleman. Coleman turns in, as is his prerogative as the race leader. They just nudge, but somehow they get away with that. That is as close as a trip to the grass or the barriers as it is possible to get without actually getting there. Coleman, look, sweeps across to the inside line. He is in defence mode as he tucks in for the inside line. Southgate sweeps back on the inside of Ed Hayes and gets that second position back. But look up ahead. Those clouds are looking very threatening. I'm not so sure we're going to get a completely dry race here at Rockingham. When you get clouds descending of that thickness in that volume, rain is imminent. So I would not at all be surprised if we get a little bit of precipitation joining us here at Rockingham. Here's the 924 battle, and it's close. Rossin, Lowry and Johnson battling away for the victory. Every single one of these drivers has not scored a win this year in the 924s, and every single one of them wants to do it here at Rockingham. Lowry looks behind him just to see where Gavin Johnson is as they go down the school straight, breaking down into the chicane. He almost missed his braking point because he was so busy looking behind him at Gavin Johnson there. But he tightens right up on Carl Rossin. If he gets in the slipstream, he's got a great chance to go for the lead. He's looking very constantly behind him. He knows that Gavin Johnson is a threat, and that's why Johnson sweeps one way, sweeps to the outside now. If he can keep the speed all the way round, then Johnson has an opportunity to completely pendulum his way round the outside of Ryan Lowry. Lowry now tucks back for the inside. Carl Rossin, look, is staying on the racing line. We're on board with him as he goes into the Dean Hairpin. Is he about to lose the lead here? No, he's just tucking on with things very nicely indeed at the head of the field. Carl Rossin just keeping things together, but he is definitely being caught now by these two. Lowry has Gavin Johnson all over him like a bad habit. Great to see battles in both classes for the victory as close as ever. This is quickly turning into the meeting of the season. Southgate overshoots! I wonder if that's a brake issue. But Southgate has gone straight on and is now going around the oval. And look, rain, spots of rain on the windscreen. Now I wonder if that's to do with brakes or if that's to do with rain coming down. Maybe he just lost grip. It's going to be very interesting to see this battle now as rain is definitely falling around the circuit. But if Southgate goes around the oval, I'm fairly sure he's going to be docked a lap. And that means he's out of the race anyway. He can rejoin in position. And I think the ruling is that if you go around and miss the circuit, even if you slot back into the position you were in, then I think technically he's going to lose a lap, which is a real shame. But look at Ryan Lowry all over the back of Carl Rossin as they go down the school straight. He's now focusing ahead. Looks quick check over the shoulder to see if Johnson is close. He's not. Rossin is protecting all over the circuit now. Into the left, into the right, and into the final turn. Can Lowry get a good switch back? Oh, Rossin was slower than he expected him to be in the final turn, and that has impeded him a little bit. Now he's moving to the inside line, the middle of the circuit, to block Gavin Johnson coming through. Over the line again. Johnson's there on the outside. So Johnson switched by and into second position. So Johnson has got him on the other side. So even though Lowry defended to the inside line, Gavin Johnson has come through anyway. But the rain is definitely starting to fall. It's getting heavier as Johnson dives for the lead. Is he going to get there on Carl Rossin? The battle intensifying here at Rockingham, and there's only a few laps to go.